Hello, Praditha. I am sent you this list of instructions here, but I'm going to go through it, just explain it. So we have five types of references we're dealing with here. One of them is the full Bible reference, which includes the book, the chapter, and the verse. And then the second one is when it only includes the book and the chapter. Third one is when it's the book only. The fourth one is when it only is the chapter and verse. And then the last one, number five, is verse only. So um, this is how we need to search for it. So for number one through three, these three, we're going to search for the book name. And just for example here, I'm going to use First Chronicles. Um, but keep in mind that we are using non-breaking spaces between each Roman numeral. So anytime you see the Roman numeral one and two, and then down here we have one, two, and three, and there's several more down here. Anytime you see that, we're not using a regular space, we're using a non-breaking space. The code for that is #9. So when we do that search, I'll just go ahead and do it this way. So when we do that search, we're going to copy this. And keep in mind that the search is going to find both of these because this is included in Second Chronicles also. So this will find both of these. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do a find, paste in First Chronicles, and I'm going to replace the space with a #9, which is the non-breaking space, and then find match. Oh, why am I not finding the match? Let's see. First Chronicles. Okay, I'm not sure why it's. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, it's misspelled, huh? I'll fix that. First Quran. No, that is right. Let's do it this way. Oh, I said that wrong. It's uppercase S, not 9. Uppercase S is the non-breaking space. I'm thinking of the number. Okay, so find, and then when we find it, and let me go ahead and change it here because I think I have it wrong. Oh no, I did have it right. I just said it wrong. So it's the yeah, right here. It's wrong. So that's supposed to be an S. So non-breaking space. Okay, so going back here. So once you find this, keep in mind that it's not getting the entire reference here. So we want to get Second Chronicle. We want to get the entire. If it's a two, a Roman numeral two, we want to get the whole thing, and we also want to get the chapter and verse. So select that. And this is for example number one. Anytime the entire reference is included, full reference. Then we're going to hit this plus button right here, and then we're going to add this. And what we can do, if as long as this is consistent, we can keep that in there as long as it's consistent. We do that every time. So add, done, and then just go next. That's the same one. So there's the next one. And again, I'm going to get the entire reference here. I'm going to add that one, say add, and so on. And I'll just keep doing that until it doesn't find anymore. So that's the one for when we find a full reference. Now I'm going to keep searching here, and in the same search, there'll be instances where there's not a full reference. So let's try, I'm going to try Acts, which is one of the books here. I'm just going to go start here at the top. So Acts, find. These things require intelligent acts. Now, this happens to be just a word that's not the book because you can see it's not capitalized. So that's just the word Acts. That's not the name of the book. So I'm going to go next. Same with this one. That's just the word. Now, here is the book of Acts. So because it references this, I'm going to use this. So this is an example of number 3, where it's the book only reference. Anytime you see this, so that's only showing the book. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that. Add that here, and then done. And then anytime you see any of those, you just add every one of them. So now I'm going to see if I can find one that has the book. Oh, there it is right there. So this has a book and a chapter. So if you see a number right after the book, you know that it's a chapter. Um, so I'm going to select that entire thing. And this is an example of number 2, which is a book plus chapter reference, like such as this. So I'm going to add that one. Add. Done. Okay, so there's examples of 1 through 3. Now I'm going to look for an example of number 4. And again, I'm just walking through these steps here, but this is the just showing you how to search for these. So number 4 is the chapter plus the verse, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to search for uh, the number, any number, wildcard, and then a colon, and then another wildcard number. So let's copy that, and that's gonna take me to anything that has a chapter and a verse back to back. That's what I'm looking for. So put that in there. Find next, and of course, each time you'd want to start over at the beginning. I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. I'll start at the beginning of this. Let's just start right here. Do a find. There's the first occurrence. Okay, so even though it found this, I've already I've already done all the ones that have the book title. So this one, it should have already been referenced by the time you get to this. These should already be referenced, the ones with the book. So I'm looking for references that do not list the book directly in front of it. So I'm just going to keep searching until I find one of those. And there's one right there. Okay, so this is one that has a chapter and verses. So it can either be, sometimes if it has the -4 or dash whatever, that means it's multiple verses, but that's okay. Either way is what we're looking for. Um, so I'm going to reference this. So this one's definitely different. I'm gonna reference just this part right here, but I know that it's part of Acts because it was anytime that you have this semicolon right here, that lets you know that we're still using the same book, but it's a different chapter verse. So I have to add that. So first of all, I'm going to add the index, but now I have to go here and I have to add Acts to this, Acts and a space, to let it know in the index that we're talking about Acts. Otherwise, only these numbers would show up in the index and we wouldn't know what book it refers to. So we have to, this part's a little more tricky because you have to find out which book this is referencing, and you'll know by whatever was directly before it. And then there's other examples that I'll show you for the verses. And keep in mind, we're only doing scripture references here. We're not doing any of this. Like these are books, just secular books that are not biblical, and then comments and all that. We're not doing any of that. We're only doing scripture references. Okay, so I can't remember if I added that, but in case I didn't, there we go. Yeah. So add that, done. Okay, so now let me just do a search for another one here to see if I can find another example. Now that one has the full reference, so we would have already done this one, so we don't need to do it again. Same with that, because we're only looking for references that where the book is not included. So this one would have been, so this one, even though this has a -16, this would have been included in number 1. You would want to get the entire thing, including the 10-16, because that's the verse range. So that would have been a number 1. Let's try another one here. See if we can find any more. There's many examples, but you just have to keep looking until you come up with one that doesn't have a book. Okay, here's one right here. So this all right. Now this one, and again, if you have any questions where you don't know for sure, just make a notation like you did before, and I'll look at it. But in this one, it says um, the Hebrews author. Now Hebrews is the name of a book, so we know that that refers to Hebrews 9:24. So in this case, we would want to highlight that, reference it, and add the book Hebrews. So that one's a little more tricky, I understand. And like I said, if there's something like that that you just don't you're not sure of, just go ahead and mark it and let me know without, uh, you know, without misreferencing it. We want to make sure that you're clear on that part. So that one particularly has to be, should have been Hebrews, so I'll add that. So there's some examples of what we're looking at for number 4. So now I'm going to look for number 5, and that's the verse only, and it's going to be in this format, the V period number. So I'm going to do this, V period, and then wildcard number. Copy that. Now there's going to be a lot of these. Um, so I will search for that. Okay, so the way we know that, and I don't know if you're familiar with this, but anytime you see IBID, that means it's identical to the one before it. So IBID means just a ditto of this. It's the exact same thing. So this IBID means that this is also 1 Peter 1:23 on this line. So instead of listing it twice, just the way of doing it in Chicago Manual style, they have you write IBID. So because of that, we know that this is 1 Peter chapter 1, and only the verse has changed. So anytime you see a verse by itself, you want to see what was directly before it. And directly before that is 1 Peter chapter 1. So the way you do that is you select v.4, and we want to add that. And then we want to add 1 Peter 1 colon, and then we get rid of the v dot, and we just turn into the full reference. So each of these need to be turned into a full reference every time. So, and again, right here, to be consistent, we would need to do the caret S instead, unless you want to eliminate it altogether. But I would just keep that consistent. So instead of space, it needs to be caret S every time. So I'm going to add that. That's anytime there's a Roman numeral before it. So add, done. We'll look for a couple more examples here, see if there's anything that's out of the ordinary. Again, we know that this is referring to Ezekiel chapter 28 because it only lists the verse. So we know that if it only lists the verse, that it's still the same book and chapter. And you would log that the same way we did the last one. Let's find another one. Okay, anytime you see the VV, that just means that there's more than one verse, but it works the exact same way. So for this one, I'm going to select, and actually you don't even need to select the VV. You can just do the 610 like that, add it, and then before it, just put Hebrews 8 and then colon. So we know now that was Hebrews 8 verses 6 through 10. So that's the correct way to reference that. So I'm going to add that, say done. Let's look for one that may be in text. Same with that one. That works the same way. Same way. That's that doesn't matter. This is not a Bible reference. So we'll skip that. Same with that. That's John 14, verse 9. I'm trying to find one that's in the text. So let me just skip way ahead here and try to find one that's in the body instead of its footnote. Because I know there are a few of those. This will be later in the book. Hmm. Okay, maybe it's referenced wrong. Let's see. Let's see if maybe there's a space in there. If there is, I'll fix it because there shouldn't be a space. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to fix these. There shouldn't be a space there. So when you do this search, these will work because I'm going to replace that. That should not have had a space. But let's just pretend that I didn't fix that just now. So oops, let's go back. So it's going to be V9 backwards. Okay, so in your search, you'll find instances of this in the text. So V15. So in this instance, you don't see the reference right above like the footnote, so you have to go further above and you'll know that it's right here, Ephesians. So we're still in the same book and the same chapter, just a different verse. So we will just copy, or we'll select that, create a new reference, and this is going to be Ephesians, and then chapter 4, which is right there, and then a colon. And so we have our full reference, Ephesians 4:15, which is what that refers to. I'm going to add that, say done. Okay, so hopefully that explains everything. And like I said, I'm going to fix all the ones that have that extra space there before I send it to you, so that search will work for you correctly. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. And and also keep in mind, this is the first step of the index. Once you get everything indexed in here, you don't need to actually make the index. And I'll show you what I've made so far this at the end of the book here. I just did a kind of a demo, kind of a test. Whoops, right here. This is how it's flowing so far, but we're going to change all this. So you don't need to place the index yet. Just load the indexes into the panel here, and then I will start the format, and then I'll show you the next step after that. So I'll need you to send this file back to me after you've loaded all the indexes. And I think you saw how that works. Unless, you can actually probably look at the example that I sent of the other book. We're doing exactly like that book, how the scripture reference looks. So if you can figure that out on your own, how to process that correctly. One thing you have to do is you have to go through and make sure these are all in order. So it should say Acts 2 at the top, just like it does Acts 4. But see, like this Acts 2, for instance, this would need to be, this is a duplicate. We don't want a duplicate, but we do want this reference here. So this Acts should move up to here as another page number. So it should be Acts 2, comma 7. So that's letting us know there's an instance of, whoops, not that one. Whoops. This is the wrong line. I meant to put it on this line. So this one's Acts 2, 1 through 4, which is identical to that one. So that should say 1, comma 2, because it's found on page 1 and it's found on page 2, and then just delete that one. So that'll be the format that this will be in. And then of course Acts 2, 4 is correct so far. This is correct so far, but there'll be a lot of stuff that's not correct once we get them all loaded. So we'll have to go through and change all that. And then this actually will be deleted. It will be up here instead. So this will say Acts, and then we'll remove all these Acts, and it'll be just the chapter and verse only, just like that. And you'll see how this is laid out in that example that I gave you of the book that's completed with this index. Um, So anyways, that's how we're doing that. Same with this. This would be Hebrews, like that. And then for the J's, we'll split that and we'll have to make, like for instance, there would be another one that says Jeremiah, and then below that, we'd have to make a new one like this. It would be John, so on. All right. Thank you. And let me know if you have any questions. Have a good day.